Well, good afternoon. If it's Tuesday, 12:30 Eastern Time, it's time for Tuesday's Tips with Michael live. Wherever you're seeing this live, thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel, following me on LinkedIn, Facebook, our Facebook company page, our, our LinkedIn company page. We're all over the place with this. So if you're out there, give us a hi, give us a hello, send me a question. I do take questions from the audience about different tips on leadership management, supervisory skills training. So if you're out there, give us a shout out. So today we're going to continue our four sessions on coaching. So if you remember last month, the session on coaching was actually the coaching skill. How do I coach an employee who's having a performance or behavior problem? We put out a 4-step model. Hopefully you're using that. Describe the problem with the employee, come to agreement there is a problem, and create a solution together. Put the action plan together, 1 step, 3 step, 5 steps, whatever that is, and then follow up, right? You have to follow up because if you see a change in performance or behavior, you want to get positive feedback. But today's session is around about what happens next, right? Because a lot of our supervisors, managers, leaders come to our coaching program. They're all jazzed up. They want to coach. We teach them the model. They go back to work. And their employees like, yeah, they went to that management seminar again. They're going to come back and do coaching. And, we'll coach just once, maybe twice. And then, things go back to normal and they'll leave me alone. And, the next management wave will come through. Well, I'm here to share with you that unless you apply the coaching principles on a regular basis, your employees are not going to be, aware that change is coming. So how often do you coach an employee before you do something else? So I would say that you should be coaching employees all the time. Anytime you see employees slip a little bit, performance or behavior, you should coach them, right? Everybody's coachable. You can coach employees that are doing a great job to the next level. So it's not just for employees whose performance has slipped. So you can always coach somebody to the next level. But the question is, Michael, how long do I coach somebody before I do something else? And what is that something else? And that's what we're here to talk about today. So let's play this out. So you come to the seminar, you learn your coaching skills, you go back to workplace, Mary or Joe are having a difficult time with a particular thing, and you're coaching them on that thing, right? Whatever that thing is. And so you've coached them, sat them down, went through the 4 steps. You agreed, they agreed, working together. Coaching's a we thing. Mary or Joe go back to work. Things don't change. Performance doesn't change at all. So you come back and do it again because, they think it's a one-time thing. You coach again, right? Same rules apply. And if you need to, you coach a 3rd time. So now you've coached the individual 3 times on a specific performance or behavior issue, and that employee has not changed their performance or behavior. What do you do now? Well, now you're going into the discipline, which we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about discipline today. So we teach a progressive discipline program. Progressive discipline, exactly what it means. It gets a little more, crazy, if you will. It gets a little more punitive as you go through the 4 steps. So what are the 4 steps? What are the things that you want to use as far as progressive discipline? How do you include HR? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the program we teach, Progressive Discipline, works on this 4-step, again, a four-step process. You want to lay out the facts, right? Similar to what we did before. You want to lay out the facts, the objectives, why the performance of behavior is important. Solutions, again, you want to try to get a solution, and you want to do actions. What actions does the employee have to take? Now, different than coaching, where we teach coaching is a we thing. Discipline is a you thing. Discipline is the employee's problem. Now, you can help along the way, but you've gotten to a place where coaching hasn't worked. So sometimes you need to kind of, put a stake in the ground to let folks really know that this is serious, that if this does not change, there's a process here that eventually leads to termination. And you can say that in the 1st step of the progressive discipline process. The 1st step of the progressive discipline process is an oral warning. Now, all oral warnings should be followed up with documentation, right? And you can document your coaching sessions if you want to, and that does help in the discipline process. But the first oral warning that you give to Mary or Joe also needs to be documented. The date, the time, what you talked about, what they talked about. Encourage them to sign it. Some won't sign it, but you can at least sign that they didn't sign. But it is documented. It's an oral warning with backup documentation that their performance or behavior needs to change or more progressive discipline will come. And so that's the first one. The second one is a written warning that is also verbalized. So step 2 in this progressive discipline process is to actually come up with a written warning that the employee needs to change their performance or behavior. Now you may want to actually include HR sitting in the room, and now you document it. And again, you encourage them to sign. Hopefully they'll sign, you sign, and then that's documented, put in their folder. And then the third step is the final option. This is kind of the final warning, if you will. This needs to change immediately, or we're going to go to step 4, which is termination. Step 3, which is the final warning, is also documented. It's also put into their folder. You're also encouraged to sign. And then the last one is termination. If really nothing has changed, then you really have no choice but to terminate the employee. So that's the progressive discipline process. So let's think about this for a little bit. You've coached 3 times. Right? 3 times you coach, employee didn't change performance or behavior. Then you gave an oral warning, a written warning, a final warning, and then you had to terminate the employees. So you had 7 interactions with this individual before you fired them. So I tell managers and supervisors, leaders all the time, when I worked as a manager or a leader, I really didn't fire anybody. They really fired themselves. I mean, after 7 times of offering to help, to get them to change, to get them to training they need to increase their performance or change their behavior, and they don't, I frankly have a clean conscience because I've given them 7 times to change, and they've chosen not to, even with all the help along the way. So progressive discipline not only helps you as a leader feel better if you get to terminate somebody. You know, Michael, what do I do now? Well, have you coached them? Yes, coached them 3 times. Have you gone through progressive discipline? Yes. We've done the 4 steps. Well, then there's not much left you can do. Then you're going to have to terminate the employee, and you go through HR and you terminate the employee. But I have a clean conscience knowing that I have done my best to get this employee to change their behavior or their performance. So that is progressive discipline. I would encourage you to use that process. I'm sure HR in your organization has a model that works. We're going to wrap up our 4-step coaching program here on Tuesday's Tips. Next week, we're going to talk to you about whether you need a coach. Do you need a coach? So we talked about coaching from a concept, talked about the skill of coaching, talked about when coaching doesn't work, progressive discipline. And next week, it's all about do you as an executive need a coach? Yes or no? And I'll give you the advantages and disadvantages and how you select one, all that stuff tomorrow. Next Tuesday. But that is Tuesday's Tips with Michael live here wherever you're seeing this. Make it a great way and use progressive discipline as a tool to get your employees to change their performance or behavior. Have a great week. Bye.